the role that we play in providing this space, again, which is designed to foster that reconnection. The one thing that you can't make more of is time, right? And if you can create an experience that allows people to disconnect and genuinely reconnect, I can't think of anything that's more important than that. And to me, that's what I want to spend my time and money on. And I think that that's actually such an important role that we play, whether it's for 24 hours or a whole week or whatever it may be.
Welcome to Talk Shop. I'm Ariel Okin, a New York-based interior designer, writer, and editor, looking to bring a little bit of magic into our homes every day. After years as a writer and editor in the interiors world, I founded my own editorial site, Fenimore Lane, in 2020, and the Talk Shop interview series was born. Each week, I delve into the personal experiences of the top interior designers and tastemakers around the globe. This week, we're heading into the hospitality world as I welcome Callie Stanton, the Vice President of Brand and Communications for Auberge Resorts Collection. Speaking from personal experience, Auberge properties are a must-visit for any design lover. Their one-of-a-kind properties and experiences truly capture the soul of each destination. With 28 hotels and resorts around the globe, each one is unique, immersive, and incredibly luxurious, not to mention stunning. Beautiful, unique design is at the core of the Auberge experience. With over 15 years of marketing experience, Callie leads all brand communications, strategic partnerships, social media, and influencer marketing for Auberge. And I am beyond lucky not only to call her a friend, but also to have the opportunity to work with her and her team on our annual Fenimore Lane Design Summit at the Mayflower Inn and Spa, an Auberge Resorts Collection property in the Connecticut countryside. Prior to joining Auberge, Callie spent 11 years at Nike Communications, a New York-based luxury communications agency, where she led the hospitality, real estate, and lifestyle divisions, and her first role in the industry was at the iconic Carlyle Hotel on the Upper East Side. She often jokes that she feels more at home in a hotel than anywhere else in the world, so I'd say she picked the perfect career. Join me as we go behind the scenes of some of the most beautiful properties in the world as I welcome my friend Callie Stanton to the podcast. Callie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and so appreciate you inviting me to be on.
For those who don't know, Callie's one of my favorite people on the planet, so I'm so thrilled to have her on the show today. Well, we ask everyone who comes on to kick off the conversation, can you describe your style in 3 words or less?
Yes, I think I can keep it pretty simple. And I think I would say my style, from fashion to interior design has always been timeless. I think I always really focus on pieces that are sort of quality over quantity and that are sort of timeless and iconic and that will stand the test of time, to the point where I still have pieces from high school or, in my apartment that I've had forever. So I really focus on things that are timeless and classic, I think, in my life through and through.
I think it's important. And it also travels between fashion. There's just such an interloping between fashion and design.
Yes, definitely, for sure.
So for those listening, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are at this point in your career?
So I am Senior Vice President of Brand for Auberge Resorts Collection, which is a leading ultra-luxury boutique hospitality company. And so in that role, that means I oversee everything from PR and communications to our social media. Just launched a print journal called Auberge, which sits under me. Our creative services team that does everything from photography to collateral sits under me. All fun, exciting brand partnerships like our partnership at the Mayflower with Fenimore Lane sit under me. Of course, our properties work on partnerships too. And then just overall like the branding and positioning of Auberge as we continue to grow and evolve our brand.
It's so amazing. And I'm always so blown away by not only how much you do, but I always tell you, I think you're so amazing at distilling the brand in such a distinct way. And I think Auberge has such a very luxe, fabulous vibe. And so much of it comes from, the way you guys noodle on it, doing what you do. So I think you have the coolest job in the world.
Thank you. I tend to agree. I feel so fortunate to be in this job and also just working on this brand right now. I feel like this is just this really magical time for us. We're so fortunate that we're a privately held company. And I think that our owner has an incredible vision, and we're all so aligned in being one of a kind. And I don't think that there's any other ultra luxury hotel group that's truly doing hotels at scale,
Yeah.
one of a kind like we are. And that's just so core to our DNA. And everyone on our team is so committed to that. And the fact that each of our hotels is built almost as its own individual brand, we think that's what's resonating with the luxury consumer right now. It's certainly what's resonating with me. So definitely keeps us very busy. But the fact that every time we open a new hotel, we're building this new brand and creating a completely bespoke design. So you're never standing in one hotel, of ours in Aspen and feeling like it's reminding you of a hotel of ours in Austin, I think it's really interesting. And it just keeps us very busy, but we're also so passionate about it.
I know your travel schedule is truly unbelievable, but walk us through your career so far. How did you know that you were going to end up in the hospitality space? I know you always joke that you feel more at home at a hotel than anywhere else in the world, which I actually resonate with very much. But how did you sort of end up in the hospitality world?
It was honestly kind of happenstance. In between my junior and senior year at Georgetown, I came to New York and interned at Bulgari, and I worked in the jewelry category. And kind of my focus was really sending jewelry out to the celebrities. It was more product placement, getting that, product on them, getting them photographed and getting that written about. And while Bulgari was an incredible, obviously iconic company, I just didn't feel like there was really unique storytelling to that. So I wasn't really sure I wanted to be in PR. I graduated in 2008, spent the summer traveling, always had a huge passion for travel, and moved to the city quite literally the week that everything crashed
Oh my God.
without a job. And so I didn't think that I wanted to be in PR, and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I majored in English and art history, and this opportunity at an agency called Nike Communications came across my desk, and I went and I interviewed, and the president was just so brilliant. I think that the way that they story told and approached public relations at the time, which at the time was just traditional public relations, Instagram was just getting started at that point.
Yeah.
And the influencer world hadn't really exploded yet, but it was just very unique. And my first client ever was the Carlyle in New York, which I can't imagine a better first client. And again, I grew up traveling. I absolutely loved hotels, and I immediately fell in love with that hotel. And so I stayed at the agency for 11 years, honestly wasn't necessarily planning to leave ever, was in the process of helping them open a new office in LA. So I started on the hospitality team. I built the hospitality team. Then I built the real estate team. We had some tech clients, so kind of built like the tech and business team out. So I worked on a lot of clients, but honestly, hospitality was always just my passion. And I loved the storytelling around the hotels. I loved that hotels, it wasn't just one dimensional, like it's food and beverage, it's
Yeah.
wellness, it's design, it touches so many different categories. And Auberge had approached me in the beginning of 2019, I think, and I ended up starting with them about a year later. Again, didn't plan to move, but it ended up being, one of the best decisions I ever made. And I think at that point in my career, I just saw that
Yeah.
Auberge was about to be, was it a brand that was about to explode. And they really wanted to bring me in to help raise awareness for Auberge, the brand. As you know, with our hotels are always the first name. So Hotel Jerome or the Mayflower, and then Auberge is the last name. And that's basically the opposite of what any other hotel company will ever do. Because if you think of like a Four Seasons London, Four Seasons Milan, everybody knows Four Seasons. And to take the approach we've taken inevitably makes my job a lot harder. But quite frankly, we think that the ultra luxury traveler is more interested in that one of a kind sort of bespoke offering that is not cookie cutter or chain, which is of course the opposite of what we are. And so we made a deliberate decision that we were always going to have Auberge be the last name, but still of course wanted to raise awareness because we have this incredible portfolio, and wanted you to know that if you love Mayflower, we also have Hotel Jerome in Aspen or Esperanza in Cabo. And so I just felt like it was this very exciting time for the brand. And eventually, after a lot of conversation, decided to make the jump and just focus 100% on hospitality, again, which was always, what I was most passionate about at Nike Communications, where I was before. And it's been almost 5 years, which is crazy. I started 3 weeks before COVID, and
Wow.
it was the best decision I ever made. I mean, I pinch myself that I am in this job and get to work here and with the people that I work for and with.
It really is the best team. I feel like everybody who is there just fully realizes the vision for each property and is so invested in the brand DNA of each property. And each property has its own personality and voice. And it's so fascinating how you've built out the marketing for each of these hotels. And I'm just so amazed by it, honestly. I didn't realize you started 3 weeks before COVID. What was that like?
It was wild,
Yeah.
honestly. And again, I took my time, on this decision. And when I finally made it, really super excited. And then, yes, 3 weeks later, everything started shutting down. And
Oh my
the
God.
first thing I thought was like, last one in, first one out. But, I was so fortunate. First of all, another reason I came to this company is because I think I work with not only the smartest people, I think that that's a given that we have a lot of smart people in our company, but really, really good people. And my CEO called me and he was like, I know what you're thinking. And just know you're safe. Like if anything happens to you, something's happening to everybody else. And our owner has a long-term perspective. Again, that's the benefit of being a privately held company. And we're going to use this to really grow awareness for the brand, and we're going to come out stronger, and we're going to take a different approach. And right now we're really focused on expanding into Europe and urban markets. But at the time when I started, most of our properties were primarily in North America. A lot of properties were, within driving distance when people weren't getting on planes. And, we have properties on hundreds of acres with a small number of hotel rooms on it where people could be out in the open, and the number of rooms was intimate, so it didn't feel crowded. And so our brand honestly exploded in COVID.
I feel like it did. I mean, Mayflower was the first place Ben and I went post-COVID because it was the only I was so nervous. It was like the first place that I felt comfortable going. And we had like a little, like my younger daughter she was a little baby and I was afraid about bringing it home and I felt safe going there.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people sort of felt that way. And interestingly, a lot of hotel brands were taking the approach. And again, we were figuring this out in real time. We shut down every hotel and then we reopened in May. I think also the timing of our reopening was so interesting because the Mayflower was just completing its renovation with Celery Kemble.
Yeah.
White Barn Inn, Kenny Bunk was just completing its renovation with Jenny Wolf. A lot of our hotels, we were either opening new hotels in, resort destinations, and or a lot of our hotels under new ownership had gotten this incredible investment and were being relaunched at the moment. So everything ended up sort of coming together in this unexpected way. And also just the demand for our resorts was extraordinary. And when all these hotels were focused on like partnering with Johns Hopkins to do like a cleanliness certification program, we were kind of like, okay, it goes without saying that our ultra luxury hotels, we're going to have the highest standards when it comes to that. That goes without saying. We're not going to focus on that. And I think, again, working for a small privately held company where you can get, a yes very quickly, I was kind of like, people aren't going to be flying. They're going to be driving. Let's do a car partnership with Mercedes and get the latest G-Wagon, dropped off at your home or your apartment and you can jump in it. And we connected, we have 3 properties on the East Coast. So we connected the Mayflower with the Vanderbilt in Newport, with White Barn Inn, Kenny Bunk, or, on the West Coast, we had hotels in Napa that you could do these amazing road trips to, or, through Colorado. And so I kind of wanted to take that approach of what are people really going to be looking for? Like they've been cooped up. They want to vacate their lives at this point, right down to, their car, and just have this experience that gets them in their own backyard to see the US again. And so people really got to know our brand in a way that I don't think that they had before when they weren't traveling to Europe that summer. And so now, of course, we're so excited to be expanding into cities and to Europe. But at the time, we were fortunate that we didn't really have to deal with any traditional city hotels that struggled for so long.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. I feel like also right during that time, as you said, Mayflower had just reopened. All of the redesigns were getting posted and everything just sort of exploded on Instagram and social media. Now I feel like it's even more so. I mean, 5 years in, I can't even go on Instagram without seeing an Auberge property.
Well, I love to hear that. We have an amazing social team.
I know the algorithm knows me, but I know that other people feel the same way. And it's really amazing how you guys invest so much into the design element of, what makes these properties so unique and beautiful and special. So let's chat a little bit about that, about why design is so core to the Auberge experience.
Yes, we really are a design-led brand. And that is something that, again, when I first got started, really wanted to sort of focus on that messaging and make sure that people were aware that every single one of our hotels is built from scratch. We always say from hotel to hotel, there's truly only 5 things that are the same from hotel to hotel. And actually, I think it's 4 now, and that's the sheets, the pillows, the towels, and the mattress. It used to be the blow dryers, but now the blow dryers vary from property to property. And that means the design of every single one of our hotels is hyper local. It's bespoke. The type of coffee that we serve even is locally sourced and different. And again, to do that at scale, the way we are is quite challenging, but that is what today's ultra luxury consumer is looking for. And I think also we approach things just so differently. We look at our hotels like private homes. And again, depending on where they are, maybe it's a private summer house or we're looking at it as a private country estate. Because we sort of approach our hotels from this perspective, I think we often select designers who are more traditionally residential designers because we want our guests to truly feel like they are at their own private home or a friend's weekend home when they're staying in our hotels. And I think that that often works best when you're designing with a residential interior designer. So
they do feel like that. When we're at Mayflower, I always say I feel like I'm staying at my chicest friend's country house. And that's what it is. I mean, you really do feel like you're in someone's fabulous home, someone who has very keen eye for detail and has a sense of humor. And I feel like that translates through all the different properties, but in different ways.
Completely. And you hit the nail on the head. When we were sort of writing what the Mayflower would be in this reimagination, your best friend's private country home was truly part of what sort of that overarching positioning was.
Yeah.
And so you'll see like Celery Kemble, who's renowned interior designer, but really traditionally for residential interior designer, our chief creative officer, Kemper Hires, wanted to work with her because he thought, no one could do this hotel better than Celery, and she'll make it feel so residential.
Did an unbelievable job with it.
She did an amazing job. That hotel is so special. And, we just opened the Dunlin in Kiowa River. And Amanda Lindroth, again, another traditionally does residential, did that hotel. And she has her store in Charleston. She spends half her time in Charleston. She's deeply entrenched in that community. And, for us, I think the hyper local component is just important, working with designers that truly understand the destination and that will build a local experience that truly speaks to the destination that you're in. And so Amanda did the Dunlin for us. Ken Falk did Austin for us. Now he's done other hotels, but at the time that was the first full-scale hotel he's done. So we always say Kemper is our secret sauce, and he just has such an incredible vision and picks the most extraordinary designers. And sometimes it's not just one, sometimes it's, multiple designers that he chooses to work with on the properties to bring both a local and a global perspective. So the way they design is quite different than a lot of those larger traditional hospitality designers that many other companies work with.
Yeah. I mean, people really develop long-term attachment relationships to these properties because people make their memories there, they get married there, they go every year with their partner, and they have a sense of place in people's lives. They're very unique properties.
Again, since I was a little girl, I've been passionate about hotels. My dad told hilarious stories at our wedding, and one of the funniest included, a hotel stay of ours. And so I feel like it's in my DNA too, and I've always had a passion for it. But I think now more than ever, one of the reasons that I just love working in hospitality is because what that travel experience means to our guests.
Yeah.
People, especially in this world where we're all overstimulated by technology, we're on email 24/7, we're working, we're traveling, we are being set up to be disconnected, I think, more than we ever have been before. And I think this even speaks to the way that we design in our hotels to sort of foster these moments where people can disconnect and reconnect. And people care less about objects now. It's more about experiences. And a lot of our travelers are, high performing executives or CEOs or busy moms, or, people are just busy and they're disconnected. And I think the role that we play in providing this space, again, which is designed to foster that reconnection, is just so, there's the one thing that you can't make more of is time, right? And if you can create an experience that allows people to disconnect and genuinely reconnect, I can't think of anything that's more important than that. And to me, that's what I want to spend my, time and money on. And I think that that's actually such an important role that we play, whether it's for 24 hours or a whole week or whatever it may be.
You guys also have so many new properties opening. Can you tell us a little bit about what recently opened, what's on the docket to open? I'm so excited about them.
We do. And we're so thoughtful, I think, in our growth. Other hotel companies I've worked with before, I think we're always like, we're trying to double in the next 5 years. And that's definitely not our intention. We're trying to grow thoughtfully, and the demand to be in sort of these key cities like a London or a Paris or a New York. I can't wait till we get a New York hotel. Our customers love our hotels. And I think our brand is resonating to the point now where when they travel, they want to know if there's no Auberge there and if they can stay there. So this year and going into next year, a big focus of mine is really sort of growing that brand awareness in Europe. And then also just in general, we're going into more urban markets. So we will be opening in March of next year our first hotel in Florence called Collegio alla Querce, which we're so excited about. It's a 16th century property, and it was a learning center for over 100 years. Huge families, within Florence, from like the Ferragamo family to Stefano Ricci's family attended school there.
Wow.
And so just in terms of it being a part of the fabric of Florence, it just has this deep history, and, local Florentines are just so in love with the property and connected to it. So we're super excited about that. And that will be a resort expression in an urban market, meaning kind of at the gateway of Florence, where you can experience all the amazing cultural gems that you would go to Florence to experience, but then also at the gateway of Tuscany. So if you wanted to go to Chianti for a wine tasting or to have that Tuscan experience, you can have that as well. But it is a resort expression. So I think the idea is you would go there and you would enjoy Florence for a couple days. And again, all of the rich cultural experiences there. But at the end of the day, there's a pool there and there are these multi-tiered Baroque gardens. And it really is a destination in and of itself. So opening in a city, our next city property, and then in Florence is something we're very, very excited about. And that, as of right now, is our only opening for next year. Stay tuned. There may be another exciting announcement soon. Shortly after that, we have London coming, which just announced over the summer. And again, could not be more excited about that property.
Yeah, they both look absolutely insane. And I can't wait to see what they end up being, because I'm so excited to see you guys expanding into the European market and to see what sort of brand DNA comes out of each of them, because they're going to be so specific, just like the ones here are, and what that story looks like for each of them. I can't wait.
Definitely. We're so excited. And again, I think from a design perspective, we're working with a local Florentine interior designer at Collegio. We're working with two different designers at Cambridge House. Cambridge House is also a historic building right on Piccadilly, right on the Green Park that was formerly the In-N-Out Club. So just a lot of local Londoners have a deep connection, and nothing will be as, authentically British as this hotel will be. And there will be a private members club component. And
so cool.
But again, we're so thoughtful about our projects. We probably could have been in London a long time ago, but we're very thoughtful about the location, about the owner. Our hotels are individually owned, and the owner and their perspective is so important. So I think that we're growing, but we're growing very thoughtfully and only with projects that feel right for our brand. And also we want to make sure, again, we are doing this one-of-a-kind design-led sort of model at scale. And we want to make sure that that continues. Of course, that's our top priority. So we're very thoughtful in terms of our growth and timing of all of that.
What would you say to someone who hasn't stayed in an Auberge property yet? What would be your gateway property. I know it's like asking to pick a favorite child.
I know people always say, what's your favorite auberge property? And I don't have children, but I say, if I had children, I imagine it's the same question as who's your favorite child?
Yeah.
It's impossible to pick one, although it's funny. Sometimes I get the answer, oh my gosh, come on, everybody has a favorite child, but I truly don't. I always say, and I mean this genuinely, whichever auberge property I'm in is my favorite. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are, LA based, New York based. So I think we're so fortunate here in New York to have two hotels that are completely different, as you can attest to. You've been to both of them, 90 minutes from the city. So Mayflower is a little bit more than 90 minutes, but Mayflower in Washington, Connecticut, and Wildflower, which is in the Hudson Valley. And so those are both just super easy escapes, even for one night, although you can probably say that that's not enough time.
Yeah, no, it's not enough time. You definitely need to do a weekend at least. But they're so different, which is what's so cool.
They're so different. So different.
And they're not that far from each other, but you feel like you're in two different planets at both of them, and they're equally
You do.
luxurious, and you feel like you're getting away to the nth degree, but they're just like polar opposites, which is so fascinating about what you guys do.
Definitely. And I mean, think about Washington, Connecticut, and upstate New York are two very different places, very different vibes, very different dynamics. So of course they're going to be really different. But yeah, so for the East Coasters, I think those are two great properties to sort of get that first auberge experience. In LA, we just opened the Inn at Maddie's Tavern in Los Olivos, which is part of the larger Santa Barbara County, but it's about 45 minutes inland from Montecito. That property is super special. We have 3 properties in Napa. One of our newest is called Stanley Ranch, which you still need to get to. Did you ever go there? I can't remember. No, we pivoted to Wildflower.
Yes, I was supposed to go and then I couldn't, and I was so bummed. But Ben and I eventually are going to make our way there.
You need to. That property is extraordinary. And then my husband's a surfer, so Esperanza and Chileno Bay and Cabo are 2 properties we go to a lot. And then actually our hotel, I just got back, we were doing this thing called the Auberge Concert Series, and we just did a concert with Leanne Rimes at the Lodge at Blue Sky.
So cool. I saw that.
That hotel is truly extraordinary. Right outside of Park City in the Wasatch Mountains. And if you love being in nature and disconnecting and reconnecting, and also just the design of that hotel is so serene and really reflective of the West in a very modern way. That is definitely one of our most extraordinary hotels. But I think, we have a lot in North America, and I think just kind of finding whatever is closest to you and having that first experience. And I promise, once you have that first auberge experience, you're going to be on the website looking at when you can have the next experience. And ideally, and I'm sure for most people, for longer than just a weekend getaway, because we do have so many properties that, and again, with so much to do that you leave and you're like, I didn't even scratch the surface. There's so much more, and I can have a completely different experience when I come back.
Yeah, it's so true. Looking back through your career, have you had a mentor? And if so, how did they sort of help to shape your trajectory?
My mom has always just been my role model in life. I grew up in a small waspy town in Michigan where like no other mothers worked. I remember when I was younger just being like, why do you have to work? And to my mom, it was always a choice. She's brilliant, first of all, and was an attorney and always wanted to have her own career and do her own thing, which was just not the norm where I was from. And now it's the thing that I respect the most about her. And I think she was just so driven, the most amazing mom, but also knew that she needed a career and to be intellectually stimulated and to be fulfilled in life. And so I think I always had big ambitions growing up. So she's forever my number one role model for sure. But then I mentioned that I started my career at Nike Communications, and the founder of Nike Communications is a woman named Nina Kaminer, and she is one of the most brilliant, creative, unbelievable brand builders I've ever met. And she really taught me, although I do think this is in my DNA, I don't think the word no is a word that has ever resonated with me, but she really sort of gave me the confidence to never take no for an answer. And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but
no, but so important.
So important. And just to be a problem solver, like that was just
Yeah.
never a word that was part of our vernacular at Nike. And that's been absolutely integral to my career. And then Peter Malachi, who now is the SVP of marketing for Hermes, and I'm just totally in awe of what he does every day. I mean, what the brand is now versus when he started is just truly extraordinary. And he was my first direct boss within Nike, and he just really gave me the confidence to, didn't matter, how old I was or how much experience I had. Like, he really gave me the confidence to just kind of like step into my career and to basically that I could create whatever career I wanted. I could get whatever client I wanted. And I think just gave me this confidence that to push the boundaries. And I still speak with both of them, weekly. I had dinner with both of them together a couple of weeks ago, actually, and just to see what they like, to see what Nina's done. Nike celebrating 40 years this year. She started the company in her 20s.
Wow.
Peter's been at Hermes for over 10 years. And again, if you see what they're doing, like, gosh, I mean, what an incredible case study in experiential marketing. And so I'm just so fortunate to still be super connected to them and their friends, but I also look up to them and go to them for advice constantly, which I feel really, really lucky about.
It's amazing. This is why I love talking to you, because I just feel like you're not only are you so good at what you do, but you're so passionate about what you do. And I find that so inspiring. And it's just amazing to see what you've done in the 5 years that you've been in Auberge and what you've done in your career prior to that.
I mean, we spend so much time working now. Like, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, I can't imagine going to work, but it still is a pinch me moment. Like, every morning, I wake up and I'm like, I can't believe that this is my career. I never take it for granted. I always feel like, I want to be working twice as hard as the next person. And that is in my DNA. I think that that's always who I've been as a person. And if you can find something that you're passionate about, then working that hard feels exciting and not like a chore.
True. Well, I know you're not a designer, but I think you have excellent, fabulous style. And I wanted to ask a few design questions before we wrap, because I love asking them.
Yeah.
What do you think your home says about you?
Well, of course, it's going to come back to hotels. I think that my home says that I love to travel. I love hotels. I have a lot of artwork that speaks to hotels and pieces that you would recognize in, some of the great hotels in the world. And also that I love a good cocktail. I love a good hotel. Is there anything better than a hotel bar? I don't think that there is.
There isn't. I love your love for Bummelman's because I love it so much too. It's like one of my places.
It's the best. It's the absolute best. Nothing better than a hotel bar.
What do you think is some of your best places to find inspiration? And that could be like design and also job related inspiration, because so much of what you do is dreaming up ideas for all of these amazing properties you work on.
Honestly, for my homes, a lot of my inspiration genuinely comes from our hotels. I think when we did that written interview, you had said, like, where are your favorite places to shop for your home? And honestly, it's my hotels. Like, you will see, it's hilarious. Our cottage on Nantucket, I took a lot of inspiration from Mayflower and White Barn Inn. And, I'm sending celery photos of these lamps. I'm like, okay, where do I get this? Like, what paint color is this? Well, like, what about this wallpaper? And truly, like, our guest bedroom in Nantucket looks like a bedroom at White Barn Inn. And then sitting area genuinely looks like the sitting area at the Mayflower. And
that's amazing.
Even before Auberge, the inspiration was always like a perfectly curated hotel is how I want my home to feel. But I've been doing that since I moved to New York, quite frankly. And then, of course, social media. I was lucky when I moved here, Instagram was just starting to take off. And I don't know if I told you this. I found your work on Instagram somehow before you and
Really?
I met. And I totally, like, my first apartment before, I had the budget to work with an interior designer was like literally copying one room that you did. Like, I think that's how I discovered what's the company that does those amazing lacquered tables?
Oh, Oomph.
Oomph, yes. Like
Yes.
stuff like finding like that when I didn't have the budget to, to work with somebody and taking inspiration from Instagram. Yeah, and buying that exact Oomph table and I think we're so fortunate to live in like the Instagram, Pinterest world because
Yeah, because you just have access to so much
you
information
have
and
access to so much information. Yes. And then you can find, and design isn't my background. And I think you can kind of hone in on like, what is that style that you love and that resonates with you? And then you can build from there. So, I mean, I still do that today, just in terms of Pinterest boards and Instagram. So social media, for that perspective is just an amazing tool.
yeah, I use it that way too. First of all, that story just made my whole year.
I have to send you a picture of the table. I still have it.
I need to see. It's amazing. And I agree. And also, one of the biggest themes that we always find on the show is so many designers say that their biggest form of inspiration for their work is travel.
Yeah.
Experiencing being in a beautiful hotel and experiencing, just like we discussed, like getting out of your head and getting out of your laptop and just really living to the fullest and experiencing a different part of the world.
I totally agree. And in the same way that, we're designing these spaces to foster this reconnection at our hotels, I think to take a note from that, and I'm sure you do that in your homes too. Again, our parents lived in an age where they shut their computer and their phone stayed at their office. And now we have our phones and our computers with us at all times. So creating these safe, serene spaces that aren't meant to, have TVs or technology in them, that are really meant for you to be in this beautiful space, having deep, important conversations with your loved ones. Like, what is more important than that?
I love that. And it's so true. Okay, well, now I'm going to do our rapid fire questions, which I'm so excited to ask you of all people because they're mostly food, drink, and travel related.
Oh, good. My three passions.
Yes, I know. So, what is your favorite food?
Okay, I'm in a New York strip steak era right now. So I think that with some really crispy French fries on the side.
I always love seeing what you're posting about where you're eating. And like, Callie has the best Instagram. If you don't follow her, you should. What is your favorite drink?
Skinny, spicy margarita or Ruinart Blanc de Blanc champagne. Obviously, I could never just give one. It depends on the mood, the location.
Favorite film?
Any Nancy Meyers films are my favorites. I have watched them over and over. And honestly, of course, a rom-com, everybody loves a rom-com, but the interior design and just how well thought out all of those spaces is so, talk about taking inspiration from something. Like the inspiration from those homes is incredible, but they're such feel-good movies. I do not like dark or scary, and I love all of her films. I have watched probably every 100 times.
I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I feel like they're so much a part of my personal interiors DNA at this point.
Yes.
The interiors are so gorgeous, but they're also such a foil for the characters. There's so much detail in them, and they're basically like a lead character.
They are. They are the lead character. I mean, so I have to ask, what is your favorite home of all the films?
If I had to pick one to live in, I think it would be Something's Gotta Give or the English townhouse in Parent Trap.
That one is pretty good. Mine is Cameron Diaz's home in The Holiday.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
It's a good one. I know.
Well, this question is kind of like impossible to ask you, but what is your favorite hotel?
Definitely an impossible ask, but if I could only pick one, just because of the history, and then of course it's just one of the jewels in our portfolio, I think I would have to say Hotel Jerome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Aspen's living room. It truly is. And again, when you look at a hotel that truly feels authentic to its destination, it is Aspen. Aspen is Hotel Jerome, and Hotel Jerome is Aspen. It's such a special hotel.
What is your favorite city?
New York City, obviously.
Of course, yes.
Of course, yes.
Favorite bedding?
I'm going through a biscuit home moment right now. I just got a bunch of new biscuit bedding and I'm loving it right now. I feel like I often like a bit more traditional and serene in my design, but I love that you can change things up with bedding, and I love all their prints. And I just got some fun new biscuit bedding for New York and for Nantucket, and I'm just loving it. It's just fun and happy.
Yeah, and you can kind of change the mood of the space. Like if everything else is neutral, it can give a whole new vibe there. They're also very soft.
Yes, so soft.
Tea or coffee, and how do you take it?
Coffee. And I do a cashew milk cappuccino, homemade cashew milk.
Favorite playlist?
Oh, I have a Nantucket playlist that I've been building that I started building in COVID, and I continue to add to it.
Ooh.
It's my own personal one that I built. I think that's my favorite to listen to, but on any given night when we're making dinner or whatever, I also love Pink Martini Radio. That's a great one.
That's a good dinner party one too.
Great dinner party one.
Favorite weekend activity?
Well, I travel a lot, so weekend time is usually
Yeah.
focused on spending time with my husband. I love the outdoors so much, so we spend a lot of time hiking and time at the beach, skiing. We, of course, travel a lot. I think we've been away the last couple weekends, but I am a nature girly for sure, and just disconnecting and spending time in nature is my happy place. So anything outdoors is usually what I'm doing. And then to your point, we love restaurants and trying, new places. So on weekend nights, it's either going to one of our favorite places or trying new places, and I just love that.
Well, our last question that we always ask is, what is your favorite design book? And I know you have a lot of them.
I have a lot, but one I think that I come back to a lot is Beautiful by Mark Sykes. I love all of his books, but I feel like a lot of his design has those Nancy Meyers elements. Has he worked with Nancy Meyers, by the way? I feel like...
Yes, he did Nancy's house in LA.
Wow. Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's why I gravitate towards them.
That first book, she wrote the foreword.
Maybe that is how I knew that, because I knew they had some connection. I don't remember reading that, but that must be how I knew that. But yes, there's so many synergies, and I find myself going back to that book time and time again.
Yeah, me too. All of his 3 books are just classics. Well, a final few words. What are you working on right now? Are there any amazing new projects you can talk about? I know Florence is one of them in London.
Definitely Florence. Extremely focused on London too. We're really, really, really excited for that. Some other projects that are coming up but are a little further out are Shore Club in Miami.
Oh, I keep seeing about that. It looks amazing.
We're working with Brian O'Sullivan on that one, and that one is going to be incredible. And it's definitely still a few years out, but it's a big project. So we're head down on that one.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have some more exciting announcements in Europe coming soon, which will keep us busy next year for sure. But yeah, I mean, really, we're focused on, I think, very, very focused on Cambridge House and Collegio alla Querce now. And of course, we just opened the Dunland. So that's our newest baby in Kiowa River. There's been nothing new in that area for so long. And I know you have to get down there. Like, you absolutely have to.
I know. I'm dying to go. It looks so amazing.
Design lover's dream. And Amanda's just so incredible. Have you met Amanda before?
Yes. And she's so talented.
She's so talented. She's so humble in terms of like beautiful, but like functional spaces. I mean, what she did, like your camera's out the whole time. I think the last time I was there, I must have taken like 200 photos.
Even just from the photos that I've seen from when it opened, I was like, oh my God, the attention to detail in every corner of a space is just next level.
It really is. And there's no other hotel like it. That's been really exciting. And then we're always giving love to our existing properties. Probably the best piece of design advice I ever received was from my mom. And she was like, when you're designing a space, it's never complete. It's a work in progress. Like, I'm very type A. So I remember when I moved into my first apartment in New York, I wanted to buy everything at once and I wanted to be done. And my mom was like, it's going to be so one-dimensional. Like, it's a living, breathing space and you want it to be layered and you want it to continue evolving. And our hotels are very much like that. We pay as much attention to that evolution of our current hotels as we do of our new hotels, which is why I think that they continue to just resonate with guests. So there's new stuff happening at all of our hotels all the time, which is exciting. It's like there's just not enough days in the year to get to everyone anymore, but we're just as focused on the existing portfolio as we are in our new hotels. Each one is a baby. So
well, the last question we always ask, what is advice that you can give to someone looking to define their own interior style?
I think kind of what I mentioned, that social media has really helped me define my own interior style. So, it can be intimidating to know where to start. Again, I started in hotels, just literally taking pictures of things that I loved in hotels and then sourcing them, I think when I was 22 and first moved to New York, but also Instagram was really becoming a thing, as was Pinterest.
Yeah.
And I think like I remember when I, first started working with someone, they wanted me to define my style and I didn't know how to articulate it perfectly. So I was like, let me just make a Pinterest board and let me save some stuff from Instagram. And as you start to make that, you sort of start to home in on your own style. And I think eventually you can kind of describe and show what that is. I think oftentimes it's like, do you like this style or this style or this style? And it's like that feels just so, it doesn't feel bespoke. It feels like you're fitting into a box, which I don't think interior design should be something that sort of fits into a box. It should be so personal. So yeah, Pinterest and Instagram and hotels, my hotels in particular, but hotels all over the world, I think have really helped me define that and are a good place to start, even if it's starting with like a bathroom or, one small space and then moving out from there. And also just remembering again, like it's a living, breathing, your homes are living, breathing spaces. So they can evolve. Like you're not married to that design forever. You can change the bedding, you can change the wallpaper, you can change the paint color.
Well, Callie, this was an absolute dream. I'm so glad we got to have you on. This was my number one goal for the season, was getting you on. So I'm so glad that you came on and got to chat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so honored to be invited. Thank you so much for having me. So fun to chat and catch up. And I can't wait to do it in real life, hopefully at one of our spas.
Yes. Let's do it. And where can listeners find more about you personally and also about Auberge?
So me personally, I am quite active on Instagram, as you mentioned. So I am Callie E. Stanton on Instagram. And Auberge is aubergeresorts.com. And I think our social media channels, both for the Auberge Resorts and then the properties, I think are so well done and really showcase, the individuality and the unique design of every property. But my personal channel is basically a channel for Auberge as well. Always just kind of real time from all of our hotels, which is really fun. And, love doing city guides and travel guides and that kind of thing when I'm in our destinations or not. So it's a fun channel.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was the best. And I definitely will see you soon. And I can't wait.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of Talk Shop. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with more thoughtful discussions and amazing guests. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, follow me at Ariel.